next guest's real life was very different than the party girl lifestyle she portrayed on her reality show, Pretty Wild. By age 14, Alexis Haines says she was a, quote, full-blown drug addict, hooked on everything from Xanax to cocaine to even psychedelic mushrooms, and eventually heroin. Her drug use led to her making headlines and going to jail for her role in what the press dubbed the Bling Ring burglaries, which was a group of young adults who robbed the homes of celebrities that included Orlando Bloom, Lindsay Lohan, and Paris Hilton. Alexis is now clean and sober, a married mom of 2, and she talks about it all in her book, Recovering from Reality, her memoir, and her podcast. Please welcome Alexis Haines. Alexis, thank you so much for joining us.
For having
me. Your first drink at 11.
Yes.
Where were you and who let you have alcohol at 11 years old?
At that point, I just needed to check out of my reality already. I had so much trauma going on in my house, and it was some warm beers that were sitting out in a friend's garage. I guess their parents had not put them into the refrigerator yet, and we stole the beers and ran up a hill behind my house and drank.
When you say an 11-year-old who was trying to escape, I can't even imagine. An 11-year-old, I mean, you're 5th grade, 6th grade.
Yeah.
What were you trying to escape at such a young age?
I grew up in a home where there was a lot of trauma, and this is a story that we hear so often today. My parents divorced when I was 3. My dad was a pretty aggressive alcoholic. My mom was kind of this, like, free-loving, pot-smoking hippie. There was incest going on in the home, and...
What do you mean by incest going on in the home?
Okay, usually I don't get emotional when I talk about this, but...
I understand. It's hard.
It is.
Yeah.
No, I was being sexually abused from 5 to 7.
So the introduction of alcohol was numbing?
Yeah.
In this.
Yeah.
So you're a child carrying this...
secret. And a lot of people don't understand that. The person who abused me was someone I loved. And, he, whoa, there was grooming involved. So, you know, people don't really understand the process of grooming, but it's basically, children don't know how to compute sexual relations because they're not sexual beings yet. And so when something like this happens, it gets to be very normalized. The person makes it normal. This is something that X and Z just do together. This is our little secret. I love you so much, you know, like all of those things. And even I describe very graphically in the book what happened. And I knew it was wrong. I knew I didn't like it, but I felt like I couldn't say no.
You're a child. You're a child.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting what happens in the brain as we jump into, like, our primitive brain, into that fight or flight, and we can't move, we can't run, we're just stuck.
So being this child stuck
yeah.
in this situation, no one protecting you,
yeah.
the drugs became
the solution. Yeah.
And by 14,
yeah.
you were using more than alcohol to numb you.
Yeah.
Where were you and your friends? And I ask this because I have a friend whose child, same age as you, and it was a shock to me to learn how many kids would go to each other's homes and look in the medicine cabinet.
Yeah.
And see what the parents, and they divvy up whatever they found.
I think we're in an interesting time, and when I was growing up, a lot of the families in my community, both parents worked, and so the kids were kind of raising each other. And so we would go to each other's houses after school, and I did end up having a surgery at 14, although I was using substances long before then.
Did anyone notice? Did any of the adults around you, teachers?
I grew up with a mom who left the house at 14, who didn't really understand addiction. She'd been married to 2 addicts at that point and was dealing with her own substance issues. And so I think she was kind of like checked out of that. And then also by the time I was 15, like, we were smoking marijuana together. And
which you talk about in the book. I mean, your mother, you said, my mother wanted us to be the model actress she never got to be. And as a result, we never had a chance to just be children. It was that Hollywood life that seduces people that we watch in the reality shows. Your mom was wanting that, according to you.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. By the time that I was in 9th grade, I was not able to go to school because my drug addiction had gotten so out of control. And so she agreed to pull me from school as long as I agreed to get my GED, which I did. I'm really grateful that I am a high school graduate. Like, that's an amazing thing. But I dropped out and I started working in the modeling industry. And like I said, she left the house at 14. She did the same thing.
So this was a cycle.
Yes. It was a cycle. And so my sister and I, basically, by the time I was 16, 17, were doing Marilyn Manson music videos and partying with some of the biggest celebrities in Hollywood, and our drug addiction just skyrocketed.
When we come back, we will hear more of Alexis' story and how being a mom changed her journey. More after the break.